When it comes to the endgame and Path to Nowhere, we have a variety of options to choose from. We have Battle Frontline. Yeah, I guess that's it. Hi, my name is Codey and welcome back to the vid. Today we're going to be talking about meta team compositions for Battle Frontline. But before we head into it, I should let you know that in the endgame, only offense matters. You need to kill as fast as possible and most of the time in only one core break phase. Any tank or healer are basically useless in this mode, unfortunately. Alright, now that you have the concept on what the endgame actually looks like, we can go ahead and move on to the team compositions. At the start of the stage, there's going to be two waves of enemies that you have to deal with first. So for the first role, you need a dedicated wave clearer. Meta choice for this is obviously Nox. While not necessarily, but preferably at least Shackle 3 for the defense reduction. You want her to activate her skills ASAP, so most common choice for Crime Brand is 0 for slot 1, Singularity for slot 2, and then Echo for slot 3. And in order for me to future-proof this video, I'm going to be including a crime brand that we can only get in Paths of Ashes or the guild content. Singularity can be replaced by City of Sins, which basically gives an additional 3% attack and 5% life for each brand activated. It can stack up to 3 times. And if you don't have Nox, my guy, you're playing this game in hard mode. But don't worry, you can still have an alternative, which is Wendy. You can just change the crime brand to Depths of Oblivion for slot 1 and 3, then Hope for slot 2, as that is the most commonly used brand for her in BFL. Alright, moving on to the next role, we have the boss killers. Their main role is to deal as much damage to the boss as possible in the shortest amount of time. Meta choice for this would be Zoya, not really surprising since her entire kit is all about dealing immense damage to a single target. For her crime brand, she uses 0 for slot 1, and again to future-proof this video, for slot 2 she uses City of Sin, slot 3 Echo. The aim for this combination is to burst down the boss in one core break phase. Alternatively, you can also use Ground Zero for slot 1 and 3. Same with City of Sin, you can only get this through Tides of Ashes. It increases the attack by 1% every 3 seconds, up to a maximum of 10 times. And then for slot 2, City of Madness, because the damage increase is just too valuable even if you're missing out on an additional 3%. Other meta choice for the boss killer role would be Roulecca, preferably Shackle 1. She deals a lot of crit, especially once her exclusive crime brand is unlocked. Often Reunion is used for her burst, but some players prefer to use Embrace of the Dead. You may want to do some testing for yourself to know which one is more compatible with your playstyle, but personally I prefer Reunion for faster skill uptime. Next, we have Priscilla. She's your typical marksman that relies on her basic attack to deal damage, so popular brand that is being used for her are 0 for slot 1 and then Pandora for slot 2 and 3. Again, Embrace of the Dead should work as well as an alternative. Optional sinner for the boss killer role would be Flora. Although a B rank, she can still provide a decent amount of DPS assuming that she's on Shackle 5, which is fairly easy to do. Flora uses the same crime brand as Roulecca, meaning to say she uses Reunion or Embrace of the Dead. And then for the next optional sinner, we have Crache. She actually deals insane amount of burst damage to the boss, quite similar to Irene, only physical. But since she requires a harder setup to get there, I'm going to be putting her as an alternate option only. But nonetheless, very viable for some cheese strat in BFL. For her crime brand, she uses Bewitchment, but popular options also include 0 plus Shattered Battlefront if you can clear the 2 waves fast enough. Moving on to our next important role, we have the Core Breakers. Meta choice here is Labyrinth. Although a B rank sinner, she does her job exceptionally well due to the fact that she gets to reset her ult whenever she successfully breaks an enemy. And even though she can't recharge her energy without attacking, the fact that her ult is really cheap makes her, dare I say it, the best core breaker in the entire game. Most commonly used brand for her is Premonition, Singularity, and Corridor. If you don't have her built up and just using her solely for breaking, she can get away with Justice to support the team's DPS as well. And then for our next sinner, we have Bai, preferably S3 if you want her to be the sub DPS as well. By far my favorite sinner in the entire game, but a bit overshadowed by Labyrinth. Nonetheless, she is still very viable for her role and some specific scenarios. The best brand for her would be Reunion so that she can get to her ult ASAP. Moving on to our optional sinner for the core breaker role, we have Gekki. She is a very underrated sinner. I don't see her being talked about that much in the community, probably because she has a hard AF to pronounce name, but she is basically a poor man's Bayi. Her specialty is breaking 4 cores in an instant, so yeah, if you don't have Bayi, she's a very good alternative. For her crime brand, she normally uses 0 plus hope plus corridor to fill her ult gauge faster, as she needs 2 charges in order to do her job. And then moving on to our next very important role, we're going to be talking about the damage amplifiers. They're here to give some form of boost in DPS for the team by either buffing the team up or debuffing the enemies. Meta choice for this one is Hamel, preferably as 3. She is the only healer that is viable to bring in high risk BFL, and you don't even bring her for the heal. She's there for her exclusive crime brand that amplifies the team's damage. Most common choice for her is Bewitchment. By the time you reach the boss, she has the stack maxed out already. But for some cheap strat, Justice can be used as well to take advantage of the no CD stance switch, since her stance switch still count as an ultimate cast. If you want to experiment on other source of damage amplification, we have alternate choices for this role. First one would be Mr. Fox, which extends the breaking phase. He uses Paradise plus 0 to help with core breaking, or Justice for team-wide DPS buff. Next we have is Chameleon with the attack speed and damage boost. 0 plus hope plus corridor are commonly used for her so that she can spam her ult. And then lastly, we have Wolverine, which reduces the enemy's defense by 20% if the enemy is in a breaking phase. Year 1 is usually used for him, as you don't normally need to rely on moving him once he is set up. Moving on to our last important role, we have what I call the flex roles. They're the jack of all trades, can do 2 or more of the roles provided earlier, but does not specialize in one specific area. Example here is Langley. S1 Langley can amplify the team's damage, she can support in core breaking, and as well as help with wave clearing due to her AoE ult. Popular choice for crime brand for her is 0 plus Pandora, so that she can serve as a sub DPS as well. And then next we have Che. This guy provides one of the best utility in the game. He can amplify the damage of the team, and most importantly can break 2 cores while doing it. To further help out with the damage amplification, he usually wears Soul Rift plus Corridor. And then for the cheaper alternative choice, we have EMP. Although not as effective as her upgraded counterpart Langley, she can still do her job as a supporting core breaker that can deal quite decent damage. Like Wolverine, for her crime brand, she can just use Year 1. As an alternative, you can also use Shackles. Now that you know the roles of the Sinner, it's time for you to formulate your team compositions. Start off with the core breaker. Brand has 7 cores in high risk, so you need to have a team that can break that many cores. So generally, you need at least 1 wave clearer plus 1 to 2 boss killers plus the core breakers and flex roles. And then the rest of the slot would be for the damage amplifiers. Here's a sample team composition of a team that made the high score in high risk for brand. Credits to LCG for the footage. This guy is a massive whale, so make sure to check out his channels as well. As you can see, he's using Nox as a wave clearer with Langley as a support.
Time to die.
And for the core breaker, he's using Labyrinth here, which is perfect for this stage since the mobs only has 1 core and Labyrinth can just keep on resetting it. Oh, one pro tip that I should share with you guys, that danger sign that is blocking your screen, whenever that appears, you cannot move your sinners at all. So here's a tip, just pause the game until it disappears so that you can move freely. Look at that burst from that Crache. And if you're wondering why she keeps on switching the Nox and Langley, he's trying to cancel the animation to speed up the attack speed. I'll probably make an in-depth video guide about that soon as well. So that is it for the guide for high risk brand. Hope you were able to enjoy the video. Hey, make sure to like and subscribe, it would mean a lot to me. Anyway, this has been Codey. Thanks for watching. Peace out.